from 365 degrees protection with Rubric plus Microsoft, organized by 7Cs Technology. 7Cs has been in the UAE since 1983, and we have been trusted advisor to our customers, providing IT infrastructure and solutions and services for nearly 40 years. My name is Venkat Subramanian, practice lead for enterprise systems in 7Cs Technology. Today, number of ransomware incidents are increasing more than ever. 8 months ago, we did a webinar on enterprise backup. Then at that time, we talked about protecting your on-premise backups, how ransomware attacks manifest. And we had a friend from Rubric talk about how Rubric Cloud Data Management Platform prevents malicious attacks and protects your backup data. Today, as we see more customers adopting cloud, especially email services, we shall take a shift in focus and we'll take a closer look at cloud backup protection. Right? Microsoft 365, as you all know, is one of the most amazing cloud-based email and business productivity application suite. Millions of business organizations all over the globe have taken to the ease of use and simplicity of management found in M365. Is M365 resilient to ransomware? If such attacks do happen, how do we protect our M365 backups on the cloud? We're going to ask these questions and we're going to get answers to them from our partner Rubric once again this time. Before we dive into the details, an important announcement. We will have a quiz at the end of the webinar. So we request you to pay attention to the details. We'll select 3 winners from those who answer correctly. I'm pleased to present to you Mehmet Gonullu, Territory Manager for Dubai, Northern Emirates and Turkey at Rubric. Over to you, Mehmet.
Thank you very much, Venkat. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning for this webinar. We really appreciate that. And I wish from now that it would be knowledgeable and helpful for you. And also, we would try to take some questions towards the end of the session. So if you have any questions, keep them. We will try to answer as much as possible questions by the end of the session. So yeah, as Venkat he mentioned, Rubric, we are the leaders in data security. Of course, we started our journey in the enterprise segment, and then we were born in the cloud era. So it was no surprise that Microsoft 365 was on our radar to get our data security story on top of it. And just to give you a context actually here. So Microsoft last year, they have decided to invest in Rubrik. And this investment came out in the form of a co-engineered solution for the Microsoft 365 platform and also for other cloud offerings from Microsoft. So the mission is clear. We want to provide a world-class cloud and security platform for enterprise cloud customers. And we want to protect the data wherever it is, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. So let's have a look on today's Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So basically, these are some statistics that were taken back from 2020 and 2021. So on average, 148% weekly meetings have been doubled on Teams because, you know, everyone during pandemic, and actually this trend continued even after. So we conduct majority of our meetings today using Teams. Chat have increased 45% and still on the rise. 40.6 billion email increase is the number between 2021 and 2020 February month. 66% number of people working on Office documents, which is a 66% year-over-year growth over the time. Yet, when we asked, I think we did this survey last year about what are you doing as last line of defense for this most critical business data? And unfortunately, we hear that 74% they are doing nothing. Actually, they have no data protection. 11% they just do manual copy. 11% they use a SaaS backup provider, and 3% they try manually to copy the data to another cloud. Now, if you look to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA, they have give a warning a couple of months back that Microsoft 365 is the main goal for threat actors nowadays to get it compromised. Why? Because they want to have, like this most critical data exfiltrated, stolen, to make a data breach and then affect the companies to the maximum. If you look at the external threats for Microsoft 365, so basically, if you remember the SolarWinds attack, so Microsoft 365 customers were at the center of this attack. And, the point of entry for them was one of the products of the Microsoft 365. The Microsoft Exchange credential stealing malware, you remember it? Of course, it was also one of the things. And this is actually was taken to the cloud. 71% of organizations have experienced an account takeover. So when I say account takeover, is someone that managed to get the tenant account or the master account for the Microsoft 365. And 32%, they have lost their data. And we see these statistics keep coming, but guess what? It's not only the external threats. There are some real internal threats here. So not sure if some of you have seen this this news. So in one company, one admin, he deleted 145,000 user personal chats in Microsoft Teams. Mandiant, the incident response, they have continued to do some exploitation, and understanding for these vulnerabilities that allow to create mailboxes and assign permissions to access other mailboxes, which is really scary. Now, we need to get answers to these basic two questions. If we were hit today by ransomware on Microsoft 365, which I think we agree now that it's possible, what we're gonna do? What we will do if we experience a rogue admin who take over the account and start to delete our critical file system? What would be our strategy? Now, if you remember, maybe if you have attended or if you follow Rubric, so we talk about defense in depth, and we started our whole messaging in the last 2 years regarding data security, where we said that on-prem in the enterprise space, of course, we have done a lot of investments in perimeter, network, endpoint, and application security, but yet we still saw attack on the data. Now, when we move the workload to SaaS, 365, SAP HANA, whatever you want, so this perimeter, network, endpoint, and application security, yes, it's managed by the provider, but yet a new set of attack spaces started to appear. So you start with identity, with authentication, and there are some native tools that the provider will give you. So to put these things in context, what Microsoft data security gives you today, I mean the basic functionalities of Microsoft, so that they help you in understanding the data, so you have some governance of your data. They give you some basic protection of your data. So for example, you can do the recycle bin restore, you can do some legal hold, and so on. But this alone is not enough. Why? Let's have a scenario. If you still have a core perimeter defense breach today, because actually at the end of the day, the Microsoft 365 admin is sitting in the office. So we should assume that the core perimeter defenses can be breaches. So what will happen is the hacker will gonna take over the Microsoft 365 global administrator account. He will log in. First, he will exfiltrate the data. So basically, before he encrypt or delete the data, the first thing they're gonna do, they're gonna extract this data. And if they find anything sensitive, they will go to the customers and they will tell them, hey, if you don't pay us the ransom, we're gonna put this on the dark web, or we're gonna sell it out of the public. So after that, they will give you the ransom note. And actually, maybe if you remember a couple of weeks back, so this lapses, they have done this criminal actor lapses, they have done this extra filtration on Okta, and they started to delete target systems and resources. So what are our options? First option is to restore from retention policy. So retention policies, they delete the data automatically after a certain time, because you have, let's say, retention policy for 30 days. So anything older than 30 days, you cannot get it. Your second option maybe is to restore from litigation hold. Restoring from litigation hold is not designed for mass protection. Actually, you need to do a lot of like manual work to even get it done on a larger scale. So the contact Microsoft is also an option, so you can contact Microsoft for restore, but Microsoft, they mentioned it's a best effort only. So with such a huge amount of data being encrypted and exfiltrated, customers, they find out that the only solution is just to pay the ransom. And this is only, you know, the 365. So most probably they have taken over also the cloud and data center as well. So the like effect will be massive. So here where Rubrik want to come into the picture. So what we want to do, we want to complement the Microsoft 365 native tools and provide you with a complete solution that can guarantee that first, you are able to recover whatever happens. So your backed up data from Microsoft 365 is recoverable. Second, even if a hacker managed to get a takeover of the account, still these backups are fully air gapped and they are fully separated from your 365 environment. And this is actually the co-engineering effort that have come out from Microsoft, providing world-class security detection tools, retention policy, litigation holds. And then what we complemented with is an air-gapped security solution, fast recovery, bulk recovery at scale, policy-driven for all users. And this is what we call it Rubrik Data Security Resilience. So basically, whatever happens, even all the walls fall apart because of these attacks, Rubrik providing this logical air gap give you the guarantee that you can restore. So let's have a deep look on how it works. What do I mean by logical air gap? So maybe some of you now, they are wondering, how can a backup in the SaaS be air gap? So think about this. This is your Microsoft 365 tenant running inside the Azure, right? So Rubrik also, the SaaS offering is hosted within Azure as well, but it's not within your same hosting. And only here, it's a control plane. So there is no data sitting within the Rubrik. So what we do, we connect to your Microsoft 365, we encrypt the data, and we back up Exchange, OneDrive, Teams, and SharePoint sites, and we host them, or we put them into a storage which is owned by you, but it's not within your same tenant. So Rubrik provides what we call hosted Microsoft 365 protection storage. So basically, this storage is sitting inside Azure. It's only owned by you. No one else has access. It's not a shared pool. It's not like a bunch of disks and everyone is putting their backups there. It's a dedicated Azure tenant only for you. And once we take the backup, what happens after that, this Azure tenant, think about it as a blob storage, is completely invisible over the network. So no one has access to it. Now, we talk about this air gap very, very frequently. The reason is, if a hacker, I will try to explain why the air gap is important. If you are using maybe some other solutions today where you provide the storage to store the Microsoft 365 backups, most probably it's gonna be on your tenant, or it might be on another storage. And this storage also, it's managed from your own tenant. So the hacker will go find out this bucket, and he will go get access to this bucket, and he will encrypt or delete these data. While with this, our approach, this tenant here is not visible. Even if the hacker take over of the account, he doesn't have access to your Microsoft 365 backup data. So basically, what's happening here, you have completely 100% assurability that whatever happens, this backup here, it will not be under the reach of the hacker. Reliable data security, when we talk about it, and I will show to you now during the demo. So we talk about SLA policies. So basically, instead of managing backup jobs, so what you need to do is just to put your frequencies and retention. So you say, I want to take a backup every hour, store it for 5 days, every day for 7 days, and so on. Now we'll see it in the demo. Then you can assign SLA to applications, and you can do it granularly. What I mean by this, so you can say, for example, maybe I have a set of VIP users within my environment. So I want them using the Azure Active Directory groups to assign them an SLA that takes the backup more often and store the data for longer retentions. While maybe the other users will have another SLA saying that the backups are done daily, stored only for 14 days or so on. So you can pretty much play with the SLAs or customize the SLAs the way you want. And then you can do it on application level. So you can say OneDrive has this SLA, Exchange Online has this SLA, SharePoint has this SLA, and so on and so forth. And basically, once you do this, we start to backup. And plus, using our APIs, so like what the where other competitors fall short here is regarding the performance. So because they are relying on the APIs, so you see like they always have some hiccups and they cannot actually do the RPO that you require. While Rubric, we give you guarantee of 100% compliance. So if you want, for example, I want to back up 90,000 mailboxes, we can guarantee that you will have the performance that you want. And I will explain shortly how this is possible. Accelerated recovery. Other solutions are designed with the legacy in mind. So what I mean by legacy in mind, think about a proxy server or a moving server that is responsible for restoring. Of course, this proxy server will have its own limitations. And when you want to do restore at mass, what I mean by this, hundreds of mailboxes, terabytes of data. So what will happen, you will be very tight on the bandwidth and the performance will be very low. And this will make the RTO really, really suffer. And imagine if you want to restore multiple applications. While with Rubrik, we do multi-stream restore and we can scale at the back end without you to do anything. You don't need to actually have even an infrastructure. Rubrik will take care of that. And this will allow us to do parallel recovery. And this will make, the restore time, the RTO time, much, much faster. And we do this at scale. So it's not only, let's say if you have multiple tenants within your environment, we can do this at a very, very large scale. Even we have customers who have like multiple subscriptions and like tens of subscription. And again, they do recovery very, very fast because we can do parallel restore. So we can approximately do up to 835 emails per second, which is massive number, by the way. And the good thing is with our solution, you have what we call universal protection. Remember Rubrik, it's not only like covering the 365 part. So from the same dashboard, and very soon I will show it to you, Rubrik can manage the backup for Microsoft 365 as SaaS, SAP HANA. If you are using any native cloud like Azure, AWS, or GCP, we can manage the backups from the same interface. If you have still a footprint of enterprise like VMware, Oracle, SQL, on-prem, Rubrik can cover this as well. And you will have a unified UI that will cover everything from one single dashboard with all the same security features, combining data security and data protection at the same time. What are the Rubrik architectural advantages? I just mentioned it just the slide before. If you look what have other vendors have done when they started to support Microsoft 365, they brought the lift and shift approach to their solution. In other words, like in any backup solution on-prem, we used to have the software needing a server and then a proxy or media server, backup storage, and manual jobs. So what the other vendors have done, they lifted and shifted the same concept, and they ask you, you need to have a master server, you need to have a proxy server, one or more, and then you need to have a storage. So some of them, they will provide the storage, but this storage is not flexible. So here where Rubrik changed the game is that we said, we don't need any infrastructure from your side. We don't need even any storage from your side. We're gonna leverage the native APIs of Microsoft. We're gonna do the compute, global data reduction, and the storage expansion in the background on your behalf. Even the storage, we're gonna host it for you. So you don't need to pay any storage. When you buy from Rubrik a Microsoft 365 backup license, you don't need to think about any extra hidden cost. All the compute power, all the storage required is included within your licenses. And of course, we have different flavors of the license. So it depends on the average size of mailboxes. So our smallest would be like average of 5 gigabyte of mailbox. and we can have unlimited offering as well. So we have 5, 10, 20, 50, and unlimited. So all this, you can do it with that. What are other core differentiators other than the architecture? So the SaaS architecture allows us, we did an installation for a customer in Abu Dhabi, I think like 2 months back, and the customer was shocked because he was expecting a professional services that will last at least for 5 or 6 days. And the job was done literally in less than 1 hour, where we just hooked up, we added the subscription, and everything was up and running, and they started to take the backups in less than 1 hour. Our second differentiator I want to highlight again, logical air gap, which means the backups that you are taking, no one can compromise them. We give you the guarantee for that. We have an enterprise class policy engine, which we're gonna just see it now. And this will give you the ease of use and ease of reporting and management. Because we co-engineered the solution with Microsoft, so you have seen that we can do performance at scale and restore at scale. And it's a unified management for both hybrid and multi-cloud offering. And by this, I promise you that the presentation will be short. I will switch gears and I will show now to you some demo of the platform. So let me just do this now. I hope you can see my screen now, right? Venkat, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat. So basically what you are seeing now is our Rubric data protection SaaS platform. And this platform, basically, as you can see, this is what we call about the unified data management console. So basically it's for both data center. You can see here like VMware, Hyper-V, Linux, SQL, and so on, cloud and SaaS. So you can see here, you can manage the whole thing from one single interface. This is the beauty of Rubik. And here you can see, you can switch between the data protection for data centers and here for the Microsoft 365. So here you can see this very beautifully designed dashboard where I can see the status of our SaaS offering. It's online, right? So you have 100% compliance. We have protected 695 objects. You can see the storage efficiency, how much storage I have consumed, and you can see your application, the Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams, right? Now, once you buy from us the subscription, you're gonna get access to this dashboard. And the first thing you need to do is you need to start to add your subscription. So basically here you add the subscription, you select the Azure region, it will authorize, it will ask you for, the username, password. And then once you complete the setup, you're done. So this is how easy it is. So once you get this, automatically you will start to manage your application and you will be able to see them here, as you can see. So here I can see Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. Now, once you have done this, you need to create SLAs. So SLA domain, as I said, this is something we have it on-prem and in the cloud, as you can see. So here I would say I want to create an SLA domain, and I have a wizard that will guide me. So here, if I'm doing it for Microsoft 365, I will choose 365. Here I will choose the, my RPO. So I would say I want to keep every 4 hours, retain it for 3 days, daily for 30 days, monthly at the last day of the month. I want to keep it for 12 months, and maybe a yearly for 5, and you can specify when the year starts. And if you want to see like more quarterly and weekly, you can do this as well. You can specify which time is allowed to have, this backup, right? And then here you give it a name, and you can put a description, test for the webinar, right? And then create. So once I hit create, now I have the SLA, which is my framework. So this is my basically RPO and retention policy. So once my SLA is ready, what I can do, I can go here back to the 365, and let's go to the Exchange. So here you can see the users. And as you can see the groups as well. So one option you can do, you can assign the SLA for the whole thing. So you just click like this and you say manage protection. And from here, you will choose the SLA that you have created before. Actually, you can even create here on the spot. Like if you want to do it from here, you can do this. And Rubric here is showing me the base frequency and the retention. So pretty much I can see the whole thing here. And then after I hit next, what will happen is these users will be assigned to the SLA that you specified. Of course, you can do the group thing. So for example, we have EMEA, APAC, America users, and I can assign based on the group, the Active Directory group, different SLAs. So by what will happen in this case, any new user that come here, he or she will have this protection assigned automatically, right? So this is how to assign an SLA. And by the way, the same goes for OneDrive. It's the same thing. You assign SLAs, and it goes the same thing for also SharePoint and Teams and so on. Now, after we do this, the backups will start to kick on. And then here you can see the reports. So here, I want to see, for example, let me see if I can find anything, 365. Yes. So I want, for example, to see some weekly reports. Here, once I click here, so it's showing me all the backup events and recovery events that happen. I can filter that, of course. So I can say I want to see.
Hey, okay. You have your password with you?
You can search by
Start
user.
later, okay, and collect everything.
Yep. So this is the dashboard. And then I have some additional reports as well. So for example, I can see if I have anything which was out of compliance. So maybe I had this out of compliance here, right? So I can check what was wrong there. Also, what you can do, of course, you can create your own reports. So you can see here, I can create a report and you want to see, for example, protection task details, right? And then I would select I would select Microsoft 365, right? Sorry, I'm in the wrong one. No worries. Anyway, so let's go back to this. Yeah, so I can see the thing here. So next, what we will do, we will try to see how I can do or perform some restore operation. So let's start with Exchange. So here I can search by a user. Let me search by myself, maybe. Yeah. So this is my mailbox. So here you can see on the left side some generic the user details, the group type, the SLA we are using to protect my mailboxes. And here you can see this calendar view. If you are using Rubric today, maybe this will be familiar. So this is a very nice calendar view over there. So here on 21, for example, I can go. So from here, I have multiple options. So first, what I can do, I can say, I want to recover the whole thing, the mailbox or the calendar or the contact, right? So I can say I want to restore the whole mailbox, and then next. So either I can restore to the original user or I can restore to another user. Now, the other thing I can do here, if I come back, actually I can go and search for a mail. So I'm searching an email called demo, maybe probably I will not find. Yeah, here you go. So let me search for welcome. So here you go. Here's the email. So I can say I want to recover only this email. So I can do search. Also, what you can do here, you can also filter from, to, and create a date as well. So you can pretty much do this. And you can see here also, you can search the calendar events. You can search the contacts as well. Pretty much powerful, very easy, right? So this is how we can perform the restores. So this is for Exchange. Now, if it was OneDrive, I can actually jump to it from here. And you can see the same view. So here I can go again to the 20. And here I would say you can search by the file name, or if you don't know the file name, you can choose here, recover. And then I would go and, for example, go to presentations. Right, I can select the file, next. So I can recover to the original user to the same location. I can recover to another user, or I can download it from the cloud, export it as zip file. Pretty much straightforward, right? So let's go and check SharePoint. So if we go to SharePoint, I can go and say visit site.
Mehmet,
For example,
I think this is one question. If you can take it now, or maybe you want to take it.
Let's take the questions at the end.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
So let's see if there's something here. Yep. So here I'm talking to the side. So let's check some of the documents here. So here I'm browsing inside the SharePoint site. I hope that there's something in here. Otherwise, I could search by the name as well. Yeah, there's plenty of things actually. So we can go here and I say next, restore to original document library, to another document library, or download from the cloud. The last thing probably I want to show here is the chat, Teams chat. So for example, again, I can go to the IT teams, then go from here, recover. So you can choose the type of content. So you want the files, you want the channel conversation, or you want the full channel. So you have the option, and then next, and then you select which channel you want to recover to, right? Oops. Anyway. Okay, there is no chat conversation, unfortunately, yet, but anyway, I think you get it. So you can search, by the way, you can search files and channel conversation. So let's say search. Actually, we don't have any conversations, but anyway, if there was a file, I think I can browse it here. Yeah, here you go. So this is the file. And then again, recover to original channel, to another channel, or download from the cloud. Right. Anything else I want to cover here? So we covered the teams. You can rename the subscription actually. You can see the events, by the way. So here, for example, if I want to see the backup events and I want to see only Exchange. So here I can see the events. I can have a look how much it was, what time it finished, and so on. You can see some audit logs as well. And again, these audit logs, for example, I want to see for Polaris. You see, all the things I was performing now, it's in the audit log. And of course, you can integrate with some SIM solutions and so on as well, right? And let's go back to the events. One of the other things I could show you here. I know that maybe this question will come. So how we license this? So we license this, as I said, per number of users. Now you might ask me what will happen if the user leave the company. So on when the user becomes inactive, what will happen? Of course, it will be released from your licensing, but still we keep the data as per the retention. So for example, we have one colleague who left. His name is Philip. Where is the sorry, Microsoft 365. Yeah. I can go and see the relic. It will become relic. See, for example, these guys, they have left the company, so they are inactive. They become relic. Relic means it's someone who left the company, but still because of your SLAs, you need to keep their data. So we find them here in the relics. Fine. I think I can start answering the questions. So I see some in the chat. I see some in. Okay, let me start with the chat ones. Can we export the mailbox PST and download? We have it in beta today. It will be released within 1 week or so. We have it in beta for the mailbox in PST. Backup will be online mailboxes and archive. So as of today, what we do, we back up, as it's of course online mailboxes. Archive, I'm not sure what you mean by archive. What will be the retention period? You specify. If you mean archive, can we long-term archive that? This is something, yes, using the SLA, we can do it, but the storage is already on Rubrik.
Mehmet, I think today I even had a couple of discussions in the past week. People are looking at archiving even the M365 mailboxes. They are looking at the Exchange native options. They are looking even at third-party options such as Veritas, Vault, the Enterprise Vault. So yeah. I think, Mr. Sunil, if you can make the question more clear about what kind of an archive you're looking at, we can answer that better.
Yeah, exactly. Again, if the archive, if the question is the archive kind of what we do for the online, for the on-prem exchange, this is something I believe Microsoft they do it, if I'm not mistaken, right? But again, still you need the backup. So the situation here, is what will happen if someone deletes. And let's say if someone even deletes you, that's for e-discovery basically. So we can do some e-discoveries, as you can see here. For the retention, you can keep 10 years with us, no problem. So you can keep 10 years, no issues, because we can provide this unlimited storage. I hope this is. If my answer is not clear, please let's do it. I see another question. SharePoint sites backup. Okay, no, first, sorry. What about Teams? Chat, will it be retrieved with the chat history? Pick or user chain or chat. So any files, yes. So any files there, it will be retrieved. That's correct. SharePoint sites backup restore. I think I showed this. Let me quickly go back to my. So here, if we go to 365, you can see we have the SharePoint. You can view the sites, right? So you can go. If you mean the whole site, I get your question. This is something is in the roadmap. But today we go to the libraries and then we restore them. If your question, can we restore from here? No, not yet. So where is the infrastructure hosted? If it is SaaS, how are you protected? Very good question, and I like this question, Rochelle. I love this question. Now, we have here two parts of the solution. So first, you have the control plane. So what you are seeing now is the control plane only, right? And this control plane is what we call it Rubric. We used to call it Polaris. It's very known as Polaris, but now we rebranded it to be named the Rubric Data Protection. So our SaaS itself, I mean, this interface itself, it's hosted in a SOC 2 certified. We have a lot of certifications, and we don't store any user data inside it. So as you can see, all what we do is that we just integrate with the APIs, and then we store the SLAs. That's it. So we don't have any data. I mean, the backups doesn't come here. Now, what if, how we protect it? So we have multi-factor authentication, because I saw another question as well regarding that. So we have multi-factor authentication. We can integrate with Azure AD for the login as well. So it's fully protected. Again, even in the case, you know, like this, someone take over this account, it has multi-factor authentication, right? And we have the protection on this one. And your data is sitting in another location. It's sitting in Azure. The backup data is sitting in Azure in a region. We have it in the UAE today. If you want something outside the UAE, it's also possible as well. But the data itself, it's sitting in Azure. It's a Rubrik hosted Azure platform, air-gapped. No one can reach it over the network. I hope that this answered your question. Can admin user, can we integrate with Azure AD, on-premise AD? The answer for Azure AD, yes, not for on-prem AD. I need to double check, but as far as I know, it was not there. Of course, there is SSO. You can integrate with single sign-on as well. So to provide the security as well. And by the way, as you can see, so here we use single sign-on. You have IP whitelisting, so you can restrict who can access this one, and multi-factor authentication as well. And you can also, you know, use the webhooks. So remember, I told you about you can integrate with something like Sentinel-1 if you want.
And then just one announcement again. We request the attendees to be remaining online. Please don't leave it now, because we're going to have a quiz very soon once the question answer session is over. Yeah, thanks.
I can see that the question is that backup data is replicating to some other DC inside the UAE. What about 321 compliance? Very good question, Adnan. So basically, this is done by Microsoft. So, you know, Microsoft, they provide the data redundancy. And they have the 2 data centers in the UAE, as you know, so the Dubai one and Abu Dhabi one. And again, if you want to have an extra copy, so basically what we are bringing is we are bringing the option to push long-term archive to somewhere outside the Azure itself. So you can, for example, put it on AWS, UAE, or maybe another cloud provider. But regarding the redundancy of the data, it's provided by Microsoft. I hope this answers your question.
Please go on.
Rubric will help us if we compromise, but same time all data is sitting. How can we make sure that? Good question. How you make sure that our tenant is not going to be compromised? Okay, very good question. So first we have like done the all the pen testing and the SOC 2 requirements for this. Our tenant is not a public tenant, by the way. So for some tenant to be, actually, if you read all the data breaches that happens, usually it's because a company would have, some buckets open online. So this is not the case with this one. And plus, this one is not only guaranteed by Rubrik. Actually, this tenant is provided by Microsoft. So it's co-engineered with the Microsoft security team and our security team. And basically, if you have followed us, like we give guarantee as well regarding this. So the data is sitting in that one. This is the air gap basically. So no one can reach to that one. No one is able actually to discover it. No one is able to access it. So basically it's not possible. Plus, by the way, the data is encrypted. So let's take this scenario. If first it's air gap, it's immune, and it's encrypted. So first you need to find out how to reach the data. Let's say you reach the data. Second, you need to be able to modify this data, which is not possible. Third, even, like this is immutable format. Plus, most importantly, it's encrypted, and you bring your own encryption key as well. So it's very secure, and it's not unlikely to happen. By the way, we used to, and we still have it, but it's like not the optimal one. If you prefer to keep the data within your own tenant, like if you tell me, no, I want to keep my backups within my own Azure tenant, we can provide this as well. So this is something pretty much possible to do. Interesting questions. I like it, by the way.
Yeah, please, anyone?
Cool.
Any more questions, please go on. We probably give another five minutes for questions, Mehmet.
If there's no more questions, let's wait 1-2 minutes and then we can do the quiz.
All right.
Is there an option to export the specific backup data like monthly? Okay. Now, the question is usually export to where and what is the purpose? Now, if the purpose is to have another copy, right? And this other copy, let's say to the on-prem, honestly speaking, there's no point of extracting this backup data because like, as you know, if you back up from 365, there is no direct path to restore it, for example, to an Exchange on-prem. So there is no point in that. If you, for example, you want to schedule the PST or the files export, yes, you can do it using APIs integrations. Of course, we have the webhooks, but it would not be cost efficient. Not cost efficient, not because of Rubrik, it's just because the cost from Microsoft themselves. But I would be very much interested to understand the use case for exporting backup data monthly. As I said, what we are bringing something called like second copy, or let's say archiving location, which might be AWS or bucket, or maybe even another Azure bucket for long-term archival. It's like kind of, if you want, when you have on-prem data, and for example, you say keep it 30 days on Rubrik, anything else older than this, I want to put it in a long-term archive location. So this is something we are bringing in a couple of months. But I mean, exporting the data to on-prem just for the sake of exporting the data, honestly, it's not like very cost efficient. But very good question. Again, just a reminder, if in case maybe someone missed it, how we license this. So the license is per number of users. And we do some sizing exercise with you and to see like the average mailboxes plus OneDrive use and the SharePoints and so on. And then based on it, we decide which license will be the best fit for you. We have an unlimited storage option, so you can have as much storage as you want, or we can have like average 50 gig per user, 20 gig per user, 10 and 5 gig per user. We support shared mailboxes as well. We have no issues in this. I'm repeating maybe some stuff. We count only active users. So if someone leaves the organization or if for any reason, maybe the staff number dropped down. So we will not charge, I mean, for anything which is not active.
All right. So I think it's time to go for the quiz.
Yep.
All right. So pay attention to the questions, attendees. Once Mehmet asks you the question, there will be an option or a set of options. You may choose one of the options and write it on the chat window. We will just a moment, please. Yeah.
No, I think it should be in.
Oh, it will pop up on the screen. Okay. So I think
yeah.
the questions are going to pop up on the screen. Okay. All right then. So let's start the quiz. Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah.
Much done, right, Venkat?
Yeah. Just a moment. I'm trying to get. I think we have to stop the quiz and give answers, if I'm correct.
Sure.
For the benefit of everyone. Okay, so I think the results are out. But so in that case, Mehmet, I request you to go through it and address each one of the questions, because the questions themselves can offer a lot of information.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's go one by one. So Microsoft 365 applications can be targeted for ransomware. I think the answer is very obviously true. We have shared that at the beginning. So what's the technology Rubric provides to secure Microsoft 365 backups? So the answer is logical air gap. So this is, the main differentiator actually. If you let me hear, like, I would not like to talk competitive. I would try to say, let's see traditionally how it's done. So if you look to other solutions in the market today, so what they offer is okay, to take the backups, put them on a storage. Now this storage, whether it be on an on-prem storage, a storage in the cloud, this storage is accessible over a network. When I say accessible over the network, because you have direct access to that storage. So basically, either you can SSH to it, either you can do NFS sifts to it. Now, when we talk on enterprise solution, so one of the main weaknesses of legacy architecture is that the backup storage is exposed over the network. This is where the hacker gonna first start when they will do their discovery inside the network. They would see which protocols are open over the network, and they will try to try their luck from there. So this is why logical air gap is key, right? So this is one of the main differentiators actually for Rubrik, because other solutions, what they have done is that they just go with a traditional backup storage approach, which is open over the network. You need to maintain it. You need to keep, managing it. If you want to scale it, you need also to scale it manually and so on, while everything with Rubrik is done automatically. How many steps required for restore? I hope that I should have shown the slide, but maybe I discussed it in the demo. As you have seen, all what I need to do, it's actually 3 steps. I needed to find the user, select the date, and then click restore. Like it was 3 steps, right? This is really, really easy. We asked the fourth question, how many servers, proxies, and management interfaces are needed to manage Microsoft 365 data security with Rubrik? I think this was a very obvious one. We didn't have to manage backup servers, proxies, and so on, and storages. It was, you know, it's Rubrik as a SaaS, doesn't require any server storage, and one single UI. So nothing in there. So the answer is Rubrik SaaS doesn't require any server storage, and it's one single UI. So this was the answer for that question. And compared to other solutions, select the unique features of Rubrik. So basically, it's unified management for Microsoft 365 and other apps. Yes. Zero trust ransomware protection with logical air gap. Yes. No compute storage required. Yes. Restore tens of thousands of mailboxes. Now you might ask me, Mehmet, can you elaborate on this point more? Now, other solutions, when they reach to certain limit, so let's say they will work pretty much well on 200, 300, 400. But when you have this scale, the biggest challenge is that they will require on the back end to put some extra compute for you. And this is not done manually. It needs to be done not done automatically, sorry, it needs to be done manually. SLA automation, yes. Why? Because other solution you need to go to create backup jobs. I always like to give this example on-prem, but I think I can give it also in the cloud or on the 365. If I have one single mailbox, right? And let's say your retention is you have a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Think about it. You need to create daily job, weekly job, monthly job, and yearly job. So this we are talking about 4 or 5, right? Now, each job you need to report on it. So just I'm giving you the context to little bit elaborate why or what I mean by simplicity. Simplicity in a term of, first, I don't have to do multiple jobs. Second, when it comes to reporting, I'm reporting on the SLA as you saw. So am I SLA compliant or no? In traditional backup job approach, when you have, let's say, 100 mailboxes, maybe one mailbox failed, you will see that the job has failed, which not true. Actually, that particular object didn't back up. So this is why with Rubrik, it's very important to understand the simplicity. Our customers usually tell us by implementing this SLA policy instead of the backup jobs, it like remove 50, 60% of manual jobs from them so they can concentrate on other things. So long story short is the answer for that one, all of the above. So that was the...
All right. Thank you, Mehmet. Thank you. It's been a fantastic webinar. We've had a lot of information shared. We've come to the end of the webinar with this quiz, and the 3 winners will be selected from those who have answered correctly, and we will be awarding them with prizes. The prizes will reach you, and that will be announced separately. So thank you everyone for being with us today, and it's been I hope you've had a lot of information to gain from today, and we hope to look forward to work with you. Yeah, Mehmet, you have some concluding
Great,
remarks?
thank you everyone who joined today. I hope it was beneficial. Please, if you have any questions or inquiries, reach out to our partners, 7 Cs. We will be more than happy to have a one-to-one discussion. And again, thank you 7 Cs team, Shania and Venkat, for arranging this wonderful webinar today. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mehmet. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.